1 month ago, I tried Jujutsu Shenanigans. It was fresh out of the oven, and everyone was still getting used to it, but it was super popular right from the jump. Not even the strongest battlegrounds was this popular at its release. At first, I didn't really enjoy Jujutsu Shenanigans that much because I went about playing it with the wrong mindset. I was too focused on the technical aspects of the game instead of focusing on why people were actually enjoying it in the first place. Once I realized where the true fun actually was, I warmed up to it, and I enjoyed it a lot more. It's been 1 month since I released a video about my experience with the game, and 1 month since the game actually released. What Jujutsu Shenanigans has managed to do in that time frame is pretty wild. The game exploded in popularity amongst the Battlegrounds community, and now you can expect the game to peak at around 60k CCUs for updates, which is insane. People have been praising this game so much to the point where they're now calling it better than the strongest Battlegrounds. We're going that far now. But why? It's only been 1 month. How could it become so beloved? I think it's because it finally offered a decent change to the long-running Battlegrounds formula that's been established. Ever since the strongest Battlegrounds came out, other Battlegrounds games have been copying the main formula, of course, but without understanding everything else involved. So their games came out bland and dry, and they lacked any actual depth past the typical 8 attack moves. And yes, the strongest Battlegrounds does have depth, but it's something that takes a lot more time to explain than I'm going to have here. So that's something for a completely different video that I will do soon at some point. But the thing with Jujutsu Shenanigans is that it puts more attention into the other aspects of the game other than combat, like the environment. Most Battlegrounds games just slap a big lifeless map in front of you with nothing to interact with except other people, of course. Jujutsu Shenanigans really moves away from this. It adds so much more to interacting with people while also making it so you can just enjoy the game by yourself. Because not everyone has friends. After observing many players' answers to my questions, I've come to the conclusion that the main attraction to Jujutsu Shenanigans is the destruction physics that are a part of the entire map. The players love how you can just slam someone into a building because why would you not want to do that? All these kiddos have very destructive tendencies that they can't bottle up, so it's best to just let them do it in Roblox. I think a huge supporting factor of this is that there's no lag to the destruction physics at all. It's all seamless, it's all in real time. Unlike most Roblox destruction games where it can't handle all of the stuff that's being flung everywhere. Very clearly so. Features like the special R abilities also appeal to lots of people because they're a different take on what characters' passive abilities can be. In most of the other Battlegrounds games, the abilities are completely passive and are affected by your actions. In JJS, your ability is tied to a specific button, so you have complete control over it and not your other moves and other actions. Sometimes people just want to have fun and enjoy themselves, and Jujutsu Shenanigans is a great way of doing that by yourself, and especially with friends. So what's the game like now? Does it still hold up after 1 month? I will personally say that it's only gotten better. Updates were releasing quite often, and they weren't nothing burger updates either. There were lots of interesting little things added that improved the overall gameplay experience, like anti-teamer features, throwables, and even parkour. They even took a page out of the Strongest Battlegrounds' book and added a build mode with B tools and everything. The parkour feature is by far the coolest mechanic in this game. Of course, everyone's already taken advantage of it and created some crazy stuff thanks to the build mode feature. Obbies and Battlegrounds are two very different genres, but somehow they just work well together. Look at this. The parkour movement just has this flow to it that you can't really explain without trying it for yourself. Straying away from the fun stuff, there's still some things about the game that are pretty weird. We can't just ignore the combat entirely, you know. There's some stuff I learned after making my first video on this game that surprised me a bit. Each of the characters have a different amount of HP, instead of them all having the same amount of 100%. This is never directly explained to you or shown to you, so you have no idea that you're using a character that has lower health points than others. And hey, this might not even be a problem for you, but I don't see the point of this when there's going to be countermeasures for other characters that just cancel out the HP difference anyways. I don't know exactly what they are, but say a character has less HP, they would have stronger attacks or more stronger ability. And it would be the opposite for characters that have more HP. They would have weaker attacks and worse abilities. I think it's just better to give everyone 100% HP so moves and combos can be balanced properly, but maybe I'm just being dumb and this is fine. You can critique this in the comments, you can do whatever's required, do whatever you want, but in the end, the character balancing seems fine for the most part. Aside from the part where if you get hit by a domain expansion, you die. Now there's something else I want to touch on, and that's the big debate that's been going on in the Battlegrounds community ever since this game came out. Which game is better, Jujutsu Shenanigans or the strongest Battlegrounds? Now that Jujutsu Shenanigans is getting so many players, people think there's a rivalry or a competition between the two games. It's a good question to actually think about and debate on, but everyone's going about it the wrong way. In terms of combat, I think it's obvious that the strongest Battlegrounds has the better system. It's a lot smoother and the physics and attacks feel much better compared to JJS. There's so much stuff that goes into making the combat good, even through the mere sound effects. You may not realize it, but the sound effects can completely change a game, and it might already be doing that for you, but you just don't see it. Graphically, the strongest Battlegrounds also takes the obvious win here. If you really want to argue for Jujutsu Shenanigans, be my guest, but nobody is going to listen because they know who the real winner is here. Not to say Jujutsu Shenanigans looks bad or anything, it actually looks a lot better than most of the Battlegrounds games out there. I like how simple it is, and that there's nothing bad being hidden by flashy effects, like most Battlegrounds games. Now the thing that Jujutsu Shenanigans definitely takes the win for is the map and environment, which is a super important part of any game. The destruction physics are cool, and there's lots of buildings to utilize the parkour mechanics like vaulting, wall running, jumping, and more. The map is also just super fitting for the game, which is also the truth for the strongest Battlegrounds. The scale of the strongest Battlegrounds is just a lot larger than JJS's is, so the map is made to fit that. It fits like a glove, and clearly it's working because they haven't had to change it for an entire year. And yeah, Jujutsu Shenanigans has parkour, but that would be pretty limited in the strongest Battlegrounds. Vaulting off of trees would be sick, but in the end, you're pretty limited with what you can do. The strongest Battlegrounds has its own feature that ties in with its own environment, which is wall combos. Are you near a tree, a trash can, or a wall? Cool, you can wall combo for some extra damage. Now think of wall combos in Jujutsu Shenanigans. They'd be much too easy, right? There's buildings beside you at basically all times. That's why parkour is a thing, because it fits with the game the best. So in the end, I wouldn't compare these games to see which one is better. I'd compare them just to see which one is more enjoyable for you. I personally enjoy the strongest Battlegrounds more, and you may prefer Jujutsu Shenanigans more. That's just simply how it is, and it doesn't need to get more complicated than that.